just for a few minutes. I'd just like to welcome everyone here tonight to our tribute night for Richard Pozoga, and thank you for all coming. We've actually got a table set up here, so hopefully you'll all get to have a look at that tonight, just with some photos of Richard and some of his favourite things. One Christmas we gave everyone a mug with their name on it, so that's here. Some party pies, which were a favourite of Richard's, and also lamington and cream. So yeah, come over and have a look. So we thought it was fitting to have a tribute tonight, because tonight is actually 12 months since the passing of Richard. You know, thinking back a bit over 12 months ago, Richard walked out of here really happy, and he was in a really good space. He'd had a lot of health issues and he'd faced a lot of challenges, but he was in a really good place, and he'd, you know, just been on a couple of trips with his new vehicle and caravan, and, you know, life couldn't be better. So, you know, and it was just really, you know, we were really saddened, and obviously the family were heartbroken that, you know, Richard lost his life in Bali at 61, which, you know, was, as we all agreed, too young. I remember back to the first time I met Richard, and we actually put an ad in the Western Australian for a experienced parts person, and Richard answered the call, and I remember meeting him in the Hay Street Mall, and you know, we sat down, we actually sat, and Ronnie was there too, and we talked about you know, Richard's, I guess, his experience as a parts person. And for any of you that were at his funeral, he started in with Geraldton Ag Parts, and then that business purchased Esperance Ag Parts, and they transferred Richard down to Esperance, and then from there he ended up here, and really his life was parts, and you know, we all knew him as our parts guru. He, at Boatman's, he arrived in November '08 and passed in July, and he's, you know, was just shy of 9 years with the company, and certainly was a very valuable member of the team. Sometimes he was a little bit frustrating with certain parts people, because they'd be at the counter and the customer would be describing what the customer wanted, and all of a sudden Richard had just plopped the part on the counter. He just had it all up here, and he knew where it was, you know, where most parts were. So so yeah, I guess you know, about a year before his passing, he saw there was an opportunity with lights, that these HIDs and LED lights that were coming in. All the farmers needed to, you know, get onto these. So he developed and drew up a plan of a light stand, and that was his dream, was that we have this light stand, so that whenever the customer came in, he could show them the various lights. And so when he left us, we had the light stand partially underway, and we've actually managed to finish the light stand, and we're actually going to unveil it tonight, and Steve will actually talk a bit more about that in a little while. At his funeral, it was really interesting, and you know, a lot of his family talked about his love of music, and it wasn't something that I really knew a lot about, but he was an accomplished musician, and
couldn't sing, Stu.
Couldn't sing. There you are.
He can swear, but
and you know, although we found him pretty gruff at times, he was absolutely loved and adored by his grandchildren, and obviously that was reciprocal. And I guess, you know, we've obviously had a fair bit to do with Ronnie, both before Richard's passing and afterwards, and you know, Richard meant a lot to to her, and she sends her best wishes tonight and her apologies. She's actually in Bali tonight with a group of family. There's about 30 of them, and they're actually having a little ceremony and spreading Richard's ashes in Bali, a place that they visited many times, and unfortunately was where he passed, but he just absolutely loved it, as Ronnie did, and so they thought it was fitting that they spread his ashes in Barley.
About stocktake time normally.
Yes, that is true.
Funny how you were that.
Stocktake's always a pretty arduous sort of job in the parts department, and Ray and I used to always laugh that, you know, somehow rather Richard always had his holidays right on stocktake, and they were in Barley. So, and no, I can't change the date. Ronnie's booked it. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce and hand over to Ray Smedley. I'm sure you all know Ray. Ray worked pretty well all of the 9 years with Richard. Would it have been, Ray?
Yeah, no, I arrived in June 2008 and left in February 2016. So yeah, so Richard was there. I was there the whole time. Richard was before I left. Yeah.
So over to you, Ray.
Yeah. My name's Ray Smedley. I worked for Boatman Machinery for about 8 years between 2008 and 2016 as the parts manager here in Wongan Hills. And Richard arrived, as Stu said, in November of that year, and was here until the sad day he passed away. Stu's asked me to sort of, it's a bit of a roast actually, without
say a few kind words, I did say.
about Richard. And from this point forward for me, Ronnie's not here, so it's Dick. So that's what we always used to call him, was Dick. And I'll try not to drop the F-bomb, but when I'm talking about Dick, it may happen. So to all those who don't be offended, I apologise here and now. So Dick, he was there's a couple of sides to Dick. There was good Dick and there was bad Dick. Good Dick was a really good parts interpreter, a really good person to have around the place, and it was great. Bad Dick, he wasn't so good. He could be a little argumentative, he could be a little precious, he could be a little opinionated. But all in all, he was a great bloke, don't get me wrong, but I'm just going to have a little bit of fun with Dick right now. I was driving down here today and I'm thinking, what am I going to say about him? And the first thing that popped into my head was, F me. I know, he said, F him. That was Dick's response to everything. F him. If anybody got under his skin, no, fuck him, right. No, all of them, they go, fuck. So Dick and I, because I guess being his boss and trying to have a good team here in Wongan Hills, Dick and I had many discussions. Some of them became a little heated, I suppose, but all in all, we always got on. Until one day he was carrying on all day about something, and I can't even remember what it was. So what we used to do, we all lived in Shields Crescent. There was Richard, myself, and Daryl and Shelley Booth, who lived next door to me at the time. So we would all have I'd be on the porch, Booth would be over the fence having a beer, and Dick would be out watering his new lawn, and how good is my garden? It's beautiful. Having a beer. So we'd all end up most nights having a quiet beer, and we'd be solving the problems of the world. But anyway, this day at work, Dick was on his horse about something, I can't remember what it was. And we left not on such good terms that day, so I dropped into IGO on the way home and I got a pack of soap. Dick was out watering his lawn, so I grabbed my beer and I walked over there and I had give him this box of soap. And he said, "What's that?" I said, "That's so you can get on your soapbox." Now, this thing, it went about 50 metres over the back fence. Never knew he could throw that far. He said, "You can get back." So at the end of that night, we sat up until probably 3 AM that morning, drinking his home brews that he used to like to make of all sorts of concoctions. There was these beers, but they weren't that good. But some of his spirits were pretty good. And we drank ouzo that night, and we drank it until about 2 AM. And we wandered into work the next morning, and we were both smashed still. We were both not so good. Stewie's walked into my office and he said, "Oh, Ray! I said, "Don't blame me, go and see Dick."
I wouldn't have wanted to litter maps that day.
So I'm glad Ronnie's not here because she threw me out more than once. A lot of things Dick and I had in common were drinking beer, having a beer after work. And we solved a few problems with the world, but we created a few as well. Now, one of the problems Dick did have was a bit of flatulence, and we went on a bus trip one night. I can't remember where we were going. We went somewhere for a dinner out or something, and Richard was a bit on the nose on the way home. And he just sat there in his seat, smiling away, and he'd go, "Another one, another one." Well, at the time we had a guy called Payman. We just called Payman then, now he's called Ray Edward. Something or other. It can't be Ray, that's
Ray.
Ray Edward. Well, poor old Ray, well, I'll call him Payman because that's what he was at the time. Poor old Payman, he was gasping for air. So Dick decided, oh, go and sit next to him. And for about the next hour, all Dick did was drop his guts, and God, he was off. He was off. And there was another time that we went to a Christmas party. I think it was Stringy Bark Winery. Was that right, Stu?
Oh, yeah.
Was it Stringy Bark out 2J1? Well, we'll get picked up at about 11 o'clock. Dick's banging at my door, 8:45. He was, Ray. I said, yeah, I'm still in bed. And he says, Ray, let's have a beer. No, Dick, no beer. So he just parked himself at my front porch, cracked a beer. Dare to say, about 10 minutes later, Ray's walked out and he's cracked one too. Well, we were half smashed before we got on the bus. And on the way home, there was a few indiscretions, mainly on my part, that weren't taken well by some of the local community. But I blame Richard for that. That's Dick's fault. But in closing, was very sad when we found that Richard had passed away. He was a great bloke. He did great work for the community in Wongan Hills while he was here, especially with the bowling club, and any of the bowling club people would attest to that, I'm sure. But all I'll say is rest in peace, Dick. We miss you, mate. We've missed you for the last 12 months. We'll all miss you for the future.
Good on you.
So I suppose Ray Smedley has touched on Dick and what he brought to the team here. In fact, what he's done is left a legacy that's ongoing, because young Josh Jansen here, who started off work experience here, built this stand under Dick's instructions and guidance to such a point where Dick was just absolutely amazed at this young lad's talent. And he's now first year apprentice for Toyota, particularly so proud to think this young bloke that under his wings has come in and actually taken it by the horn and actually got on with it and produced this magnificent stand. The lights being put on by Sean Locks from Tiger Fencing, which is fantastic, and Sean will be happy to talk about the lights if you've got any questions. But probably before we get to the light stand, from myself, I had absolutely no experience in parts whatsoever, and probably a lot of people say, I haven't got too much more still now. But what got some enthusiasm to do the job, and to have a mentor like Dick and Ray, who I would say, apart from Todd Dowd-Norton, are probably the best visitors I've come across with, it's a heck of a thing to come into an organisation, because Stewie did say that I happened to be the person at the pouch card, trying to flick through the book and to determine what was the part. It was actually a bearing that we were looking for. And Dick told me just brushed past my shoulder, just put the bearing on the counter. One time we did stock take. We did 3 days and he said, nah, that's it. Done it. We're done, we're finished, we're not doing it. And Ray and I had to finish off. And we decided we'd have a bit of a barbecue here, and we end up back at Dick's place having a few drinks. Or maybe rumoured that someone took a barrow across the neighbour's place, Darryl Shields, and knocked off some timber at about 2 o'clock in the morning for his fire. And we did that. And about 5:30 in the morning, I was taken home in the same wheelbarrow this night. And I think Darryl and Shelley worked out a couple of days later what the heck was going on. but just this generosity. You know, I borrowed his bowls to go to corporate bowling, and I bought him a carton of Crown Lager just to say thank you. Well, he wasn't going to let me go until we'd had a drink, and of course we drank half the carton before we went home. So I think the legacy is he's a great bloke at work, he was a great bloke privately, and obviously family oriented, loved his family, generous to a core, and to have the vision, he just continued to have vision. This light stand is his vision, designed and built by Dick, mentored young Josh Ganser, so I'd like Josh to actually unveil the light stand and flick a few switches, and thanks to him for your legacy.
Josh, could you just read the plaque that's on there?
In memory of Richard Pozoga, Open Hearts, Guru, November 2008 to July 2017.
Oh.
So the idea behind this light stand, you can actually adjust it so the top light bar reflects the same height as the new headers. And his idea was to take this out into a paddock where we're going to have an evening in the paddock with a barbecue and drinks, and we're going to have a full-on demonstration, and we will do that. We will continue that on. But that was Dick's idea. Have a demonstration night with light bars, demonstrate all the various lights, have a barbecue, have a few drinks, and shoot the paddock. Yeah, so thanks to everyone for attending. I know Ronnie and the family be touched. I think she would love to be here, but obviously her heart's over in Bali at the moment, and it's been a tough day for her. We're thinking of her and the family, and we miss him. We appreciate what he's left as his legacy. And he would love nothing better to think we're all getting together tonight and having a bit to drink and a few stories and just mingling. That's what he liked. This is what he liked. He was a people person. He loved doing this. So we've got hot roast beef rolls, there's gravy, there's party pies, there's going to be sausage on the barbecue in a minute, there's chicken. So please make yourself welcome in the kitchen or out in the staff area. But please, just make yourself welcome. Thanks very much for coming. Really